Hello, you are listening to the OmniTalk Fast 5, brought to you in partnership with Microsoft, the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Takeoff, Sezzle, and Silk. The OmniTalk Fast 5 podcast is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week, too. Today is October 6th, 2022. I'm your host, Ann Mazenga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are here once again to discuss all the top headlines making waves in the world of omnichannel retailing. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I got to tell you, and I'm watching the video. I'm thinking the hairline's getting a little. I think I need to go full shave, Dan. I think I need to take a drastic measure and do something
you mean
with
on
my
your
hair.
Head?
On my head. Yes.
Important point of
full
clarification.
Full shave, not body, Ann, but full head. You know, I was talking to my stylist last week, and she said, you know, believe it or not, a lot of guys do the hair transplants, and you just don't know it. And so she's got my interest peaked. No, I don't think you do. Like, honestly, I don't think you do. They're getting so good at it. Like, everyone in Hollywood has it.
Yeah,
for
I know
sure.
You've said that multiple times.
And the key is, I asked her too. I was like, the key is the flat line across the head. Like, if the hairline's flat, that's your dead giveaway that they've had a transplant.
Why are they still doing hair transplants with a flat front? Like, why wouldn't you try to mimic the natural hairline?
I don't know. My guess is because it's probably hard to do, but I don't know. And plus, people get duped all the time. I'm like, you know, we've talked about it with like, you're like, oh, that guy's great head of hair. I'm like, bullshit. He's got a transplant going. But anyway, and I'm either going one or the other here, because for those watching on video, man, it's getting desperate up there.
This is now a hair transplant podcast. It's not a retail podcast anymore. We are now talking about all things aging. Or hair transplants are one of all of the above.
Right. We should just go back to the weather. Which shout out to Evan from Planalytics for his comments on that last week to me on social. That was great. But yeah, and I think we should let's get to the headlines.
All right,
let's not beat around the bush. You know, get it? Hair, the bush. I have no hair. Anyway, bad joke. All right, there's no bush on top anymore. There's nothing left. All right, today's Fast 5 headlines are brought to you with the help and support of Manifest. Where can you get unprecedented access to the people and technologies changing the way the world moves? Only at Manifest. But that's not all. You can also expect thought leadership, networking, and of course, a little fun. And you might just run into Ann and me at the show as well. The show takes place from January 31st to February 2nd. A special discount link will be available in our show notes, and you can also learn more at manife.st. That's manife.st.
Chris, did you see that they've announced the musical guest?
No, they did? Who is it?
Nelly.
No, shut the front door. Nelly?
So if you have no other reason to get to Vegas for awesome. Manifest, Nelly is the reason that you should do it. Once again, continuing the tradition of bringing back every basement party from college to the retail conference circuit.
Yeah, right.
We had Ludacris there last year. We got Nelly this year. When are you going to get this opportunity to see Nelly in this most intimate of a setting?
I don't know, but it's getting hot in here.
Oh
yeah.
I hope you don't dance like that.
This is also yeah.
We'll be on opposite
my
end.
Shimmy shake here on
God.
the video. This is great. All right, in today's Fast 5, we've got news on Walmart selling its tech to Asda. Schnucks' new flexforce employment option. I love that. Walgreens turning to robots to help with fulfillment. Deliveroo launching its first store in the UK with Morrisons. We'll see how many times we screw up Deliveroo in this conversation. But first, we take off with a move long theorized, and now it's here. Ann.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this
because
I've been talking about it for a while, and it's finally happening, Chris. That is right. Peloton is going to sell its bikes and treads at Dick's Sporting Goods. According to CNBC, the partnership makes Dick's the first brick-and-mortar retailer to carry Peloton equipment outside of Peloton's namesake stores. A launch has yet to be announced, but the two companies are teasing that they will have Peloton products in more than 100 of Dick's almost 700 stores nationwide in time for the holiday shopping season. They do have a list of those stores on the website if you're interested in which stores those are going to be.
Wow, you've done your research.
Oh, I have. The products will be in specific Peloton displays, and Dick's employees will be trained to assist customers with them. And important to note that the prices will not vary between Peloton and Dick's. Chris, why don't you give the listeners an opportunity to hear what your thoughts are on this? Because
I don't really have that much to say on this one, really. I mean, I kind of fine. You know, we talked about this a while ago, and it's here. It's like we have to is kind of how I feel like with this whole thing with the Peloton story and the new leadership. But my question is really, where do you go from here? You know. And the last point you mentioned about pricing, I find really fascinating too, because at some point that's going to go away. Like, everyone always tries to do that, but you can't keep it because Dick's will get backed up on inventory. So will Peloton at some point, and the pressure will come to move units. And then you're just another exercise bike on the floor at Dick's at a discount. And so for the life of me, I can't understand why Peloton, of all brands, needs to go wholesale this overtly, this quickly. It feels like the brand, through the addition of exercise equipment and apparel, it should be able to stand on its own. And so honestly, if anything, I'm kind of sad this morning because I think of what could have been with Peloton and where it's going, and that crushes my heart, Ann, because I actually like Peloton a lot.
Well, I don't know. I have to say, I love this move.
You love it, right?
I know that you are against, going wholesale, but let's be real here. If you want to create a product that's going to get, you need subscribers. They sell the bike once, that's one time. They're getting the money from the apparel, from the subscribers. And if you're going to do that, you need to go mass. And Dick's is the best place, I think, to do this.
Kind of the only place, too.
I've said I think Target would be another appropriate spot for this to potentially go.
One time,
but I do think that the Dick's Sporting Goods store is where I would have gone first before Amazon and anyone else.
For sure.
We just shot a video that is going to be coming out soon from the Dick's new House of Sport concept. And I think if you think about Peloton in that context of Dick's really nicely executed these houses, like shop and shops within their existing store footprint in this House of Sport. And I think that gives kind of a different appeal to the Peloton experience. You still get to have a Peloton shop and shop inside of this Dick's Sporting Goods. But I also think, this is much more fitting for Peloton than a standalone mall store. Those mall stores are only in the A malls, elite locations. This is now bringing it to the masses. You have, when I was in that Dick's Sporting Goods store, there were tons of moms in there shopping for their kids, which is something that they're doing for back to school, each seasonal sports time period. And now you have something for them to see and try out. You have to get the screens, you have to get the classes, like you've said multiple times, you have to get people on those bikes in order to get them as interested in these classes. And I think this is a great way to do it. Second point you mentioned too, I think this is a better opportunity when you look at what Dick's is doing with their apparel shop and shops for their own brands. This is a fantastic opportunity to really bring Peloton apparel to the level of a Nike and Under Armour or any of the other brands if they really are trying to make that apparel play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said. I mean, and at the end of the day, let's recap where we are. They're on Amazon now. They're in Dick's. They're full on mass, right?
Yeah.
And so it is what it is now at this point. And so, yeah, to me, like I said before, it's the right next move. My question is, where does it stop too? If you're in Walmart with this, that becomes an issue to me, potentially. Target, like I said, I don't necessarily agree that's the right move for a whole host of reasons on both sides. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think it feels like the right thing to do now.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at some of the other competitors like Nordic Track or some of the other ones. You're not seeing that in Target, Walmart, whatever. You're seeing that in a Dick's Sporting
you're not.
Goods
you're seeing
or
that for that reason,
Concept
right?
2 or any of these other.
Maybe Best Buy you could go to
sure,
too. But
sure.
I don't know. It seems like the natural outgrowth here. But all right, let's keep rolling. Headline number 2. I'm glad you love it. Oh, and you're in the market for a Peloton too, right? For the audience, just to let them in on a little inside baseball.
Yes, I am in the market for a Peloton, but I think I'm going to buy a used one off of Marketplace instead.
I think that's a better way to go. Plus, they're pretty expensive now too. All right, headline number 2. Asda has chosen Walmart Commerce Technologies as its trusted partner to help deliver flexible shopping and pickup experiences for Asda's customers through its Store Assist platform. According to a Walmart press release, Store Assist is an out-of-the-box mobile-first fulfillment application that provides a seamless, integrated approach to picking, staging, and handoff capabilities for in-store and curbside picking, as well as for delivery. Is there any tech, Ann, where they don't say a seamless, integrated approach? Any tech
frictionless
PR
and
thing,
seamless?
Right? God,
have to be in the press release.
Please just stop. All right,
without a doubt.
The system was designed from Walmart's in-house buy online, pickup in-store technology that has been leveraged across Walmart for more than 10 years. In over 5,000 stores, and the plan is to roll the tech out to more than 330 Asda superstores across the UK to help Asda improve employee picking speed and accuracy. And you had a unique angle for why you wanted to include this story this week, this headline. Do tell the audience about that angle, please.
Can I challenge a question? Have they really been doing this for 10 years in 5,000 stores?
That's why I stopped when I read that. I was like, really?
That
10? I mean, maybe you've been doing curbside. 10 years is what, 2012?
Yeah,
I don't remember. They weren't doing it that much.
Okay,
although they might have been doing it in the UK actually.
Sure. And
they
sense.
used to own Asda too, right?
Yes. Okay. Well, the reason that I thought this was important to include, because the first thing I thought of when I read this article was actually like, oh no, Instacart.
Right.
Like,
I think it's brilliant. It's
Instacart
a brilliant angle.
Has been like blowing out since the last 2 weeks of Grocery Shop when they made the announcement about their connected stores platform and all the things that they're able to offer retailers. But now you have Walmart coming in here, an expert with,
someone that knows how to run a grocery store.
Yes, exactly. 4,000 locations where apparently they've been doing this for 10 years. They can do fulfillment for now other retailers like Asda. They have Go Local where they can do delivery. Yeah. And today they announced the acquisition of Alert Innovation to operate fulfillment centers. So it's like
20 minutes ago, right?
Right. Just before the show, breaking news. But I think that, like, to quote you, Walmart has been eating what they cook for a long time. And now they're able to roll that entire platform out to retailers across the country and across the world. So it makes me question, like, now where does Instacart sit with this? And the only thing that I can think of that may make some other retailers hesitant is the same kind of thing we've seen with retailers who, Amazon's offering the same thing. Will there be reluctance from retailers to let Walmart into their walled gardens?
Right, absolutely. I think all those points are brilliant. The point about Instacart especially, like to hit on the jaded part, like, right, yeah, there is a little bit of the element of like Asda has a pre-existing relationship with Walmart, so this isn't that big of a win yet. But kudos to Anshu Bardwaj, who's heading this up. Big friend of OmniTalk. Interviewed her a couple of times at Shop Talk now over the years, and she's awesome. So I'm glad to see her getting this win under her belt. But I think the bigger point is what you're saying here. It's like it's just a brilliant point about Instacart, and we alluded to it a couple of weeks ago, because like, what right does Instacart have to say to the marketplace that they know how to run a grocery store? When has Instacart ever done that?
Right.
Walmart has, Kroger has, and similar to American Eagle's Frenemy network, this is a concept that's only going to gain more traction over time. And you remember, Ann, because you were there with me, coincidentally, I pitched this idea to our boss back at Target in 2016. I called it something like Target Retail Services, but alas, it didn't take there. And I don't know if it has to this day, but kudos for Walmart for doing it, making it happen. Mm-hmm. You got to get a win under your belt. Sure, it's Asda, fine. But, what happens next? And I think they said they had something like, 5,000 or I don't know, it's 5,000 or 5 million either sites or deliveries through the Go Local network already, which is standing that up too. So, yeah, it shows you that there's a lot of ways to approach this problem. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it just shows me that Instacart is foolishly approaching it as well, not to bring it back to them again.
I mean, what would you do, Chris? Like, if you think about this, like, you're a regional grocer, like, what are you doing? Maybe if you're already selling through Instacart, but you're like toying with Go Local, like deliveries with Walmart, like, it feels like Walmart could be able to offer you, especially a U.S. retailer, I think, many more options for doing this right.
Yeah, I mean, I like the position that the local grocers are in, because it gives them a lot of options from which to source.
Right.
They just have to get good leadership in to help them make those decisions. But ultimately, there's a lot of players in this space that can offer you ways to improve your business, and it's going to be your choice of what you want to go with.
Right. All right, Chris, let's go on to headline number 3. Midwest grocer, speaking of our favorite regional grocers, Schnuck Markets has introduced Schnucks flexforce employment option at select St. Louis area stores. According to Progressive Grocer, the flex assignment perk allows associates to optimize their work schedules by selecting shifts and store locations that best fit their personal schedules, while creating opportunities for growth and learning at a pace determined by them. Schnucks teammates can simply log into a Schnucks scheduling app to view and claim open shifts, and if they choose, can also opt in to receive notifications of open shifts. Now, Chris.
Yes, Ann. I know what's coming.
This also happens
you always
to
do
be,
that now.
I do. Pause.
Yes.
It's like, now Chris.
Pause.
This is also A&M Consumer and Retail Group's question of the week. So, Chris, CRG wants to know, Schnucks flexforce introduction here is an indicator that introducing the gig workforce into traditional retail jobs may be on the way, something that some A&M CRGers have previously said makes a lot of sense. As this new labor marketplace is unveiled, what do you see as the early wins and potential pitfalls for workers, retailers and customers, which is a great question for you because you ran stores, and I'm really excited to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah,
about
this is a banger question again. I these guys are just absolutely killing it with the questions. They're like making us both go like levels deeper on the analysis here, which is so awesome. I love it. So keep it coming, guys. But guys and gals. But all right, so first of all, let me hit the headline, and then I'll get back to A&M questions.
Okay.
So first, I just wanted to give a shout out to my boy Dave Steck, who I interviewed at Grocery Shop. You coy old codger, you. I interviewed you on the stage at Grocery Shop, and this didn't even come up. We listed like 15 technologies that we were excited about, that we got their thoughts on, and this one didn't even come up. So well played, my friend. Well played, because I know he's listening. And my take is I love it. I love it, too, just like A&M CRG said. Like, you were actually talking at Grocery Shop to me about how the topic of tech to make the average worker's life better,
right,
not more efficient in store,
right,
but better, was distinctly absent from the Grocery Shop conversation.
Right.
And this is that. And so easy shift swapping, hard to say, good alliteration, and picking up extra shifts as an hourly retail employee. I think the starting point of this is like $12.95.
Yep.
That makes $12.95 an hour. That makes a huge difference for people. So Schnucks, in my opinion, once again, setting the pace for grocery innovation, local grocer that's doing it the right way. And so kudos to them. Now, to your question at hand, Ann.
Yes.
A&M CRG. Wins, pitfalls for customers, employees, or retailers. So for me, the way I think about that, the customer impact is going to come down to how the employees and the retailers react to this.
Yep. Right?
Fundamentally. So on the employee side, I don't see much downside. Honestly, I think for the most part, they're going to like it. There may be a few issues on the edges that I could consider, like, hey, that person's getting, this shift and they understand the technology better than I do. And so, like, that's going to kind of anger people and piss people off, especially those that are older workers in store potentially. But on the management side of things, I have some concerns. Like, so, one, can I get my store into a good routine with people swapping shifts?
Yep.
Because generally, I like the same people working the same types of things as much as I can get it. Sometimes I staff people to work with each other intentionally. Does that detract from this? Like, does it, create?
Can you program it to like be able to still do that if possible?
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking?
Right. I don't know. I don't know what the limitations are, but I think like having certain people work with each other at certain times and being able to rely on that as a store manager is an important thing. Like, say, I want a good close or I want a good open, and suddenly like two of my best people are swapping shifts and working on a different time. And then, like I said before, do the good shifts only go to the people that are acclimated to the tech, and does that create dissension? But net, I think if it potentially makes the workforce happier, leads to higher retention, less turnover, those are wins that are worth the trial.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, my only like question back to you would be like, yes, you want certain people to work together, or you want a good open or close, but you also want somebody to be there to work the shift. Like that's the biggest question that I have, especially as we're seeing the mass hires coming on for holiday. People like the flexibility to be able to pick up a holiday shift, like especially for when we think about the larger gig economy. Like I drive Uber on the weekends, and then to be able during the week to like pick up 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon on the days that work for me that I can look at that week. I think that to me is like, it's so beneficial to the retailers. It makes so much sense, from an economic point of view, but then also the other component of what Schnucks is doing with this, they're also paying workers after each shift, or they have the ability to pay workers after each shift, which I think is another important component to this. Like that's what's happening with the DoorDashes, the Ubers of the world. Like you're getting paid immediately once you clock out. And I think that that's another important component to this, not having to wait, especially around the holiday time periods for, 2 weeks to get paid for the shifts you've worked before.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a component of this. So if that's true, that's an awesome angle too. I mean, it's hard for me to find the downside, really, to your point around that. The only other thing I could possibly consider would be like, the workers are like, well, I put my shift out there, nobody picked it up. That's on you, manager, not me. But I don't see that as a big risk either.
I mean, I think coming from the gym management side of things, where we've used a platform like this to hire and not to hire necessarily, but to manage workforce, that certainly does happen where it can come down. Like if I'm looking at the pitfalls, I think that does fall now on the retailers to be like, okay, how do we cover this shift? But I'm hopeful that when you open this up, you'll have a larger workforce to be selecting from. So hopefully there's more options there to choose from. It's just going to be, I think, a question of what happens when you have people that aren't as committed to the job.
Yeah. And ultimately that conversation comes down to a coaching conversation, as we used to call it at Target, Ann. All right, headline number 4. I'm pretty excited about this one because I did some research of my own on this one last night, Ann, which I haven't told you about yet. But Walgreens plans to use robots to lessen its pharmacists' workload. According to the Wall Street Journal, the nation's second largest pharmacy chain is setting up a network of automated, centralized drug filling centers that could fill a city block. The company says the setup cuts pharmacists' workloads by at least 25% and will save Walgreens more than $1 billion a year. The main idea being to give pharmacists more time to provide medical services such as vaccinations, patient outreach, and prescribing other certain medication. And your thoughts?
This makes complete sense to me. I mean, you have $1 billion in lowered labor costs. Like, that's insane to me. That's just labor and operations. But you have an immediate return on the reduction in expensive labor. You still can have people staffed in the pharmacies, but you don't need to have 4 people staffed there. And I think that there's still the opportunities, as Walgreens mentioned in this, for those pharmacists who are there to really be providing the one-on-one connections with the communities, or to be able to, provide remote, if they're doing that via like a clienteling service or something where they're able to, be one pharmacist for a region, especially in rural communities. But I think that eventually this can also minimize regulatory concerns. So like when we're talking about controlled substances, which these robots aren't handling yet, that's not in the concern, yes, it helps to remove humans, I think, from this equation, both from the reliability of the Walgreens retail location and from, just from Walgreens as a larger entity. I think the third component to me that is really appealing to this is what we talked to one of our OmniStars, Stephanie Cruz, about from Walgreens. Mm-hmm. Just the ability, now that this is all automated, to more simply tie this into some of like the curbside and to-go orders. Like if everything's being tracked within a certain app, or it's being tracked on Walgreens' side, to be able to like more seamlessly facilitate those curbside to-go orders, scan and go perhaps in the store. I think that investing in the back end operations of this will provide benefit to Walgreens as they operate the store and to their consumers as a result. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, that's a really good point. I mean, the one thing I would add just to highlight what you said too is like you're scaling your pharmacists. Your pharmacists are hard to hire. Yep. They're expensive to hire, and now you're able to put one probably at these locations, or 2 or 3, however many are required, and get more prescriptions filled for each of the ones that you're deploying at that location, which just makes a ton of sense. So to your point, it's about, to me, it's like about freaking time. Yes, please, to quote Austin Powers or whatever it was. But my only ask, though, hits on what you said at the end there. And I tried this yesterday, is for it to work well, you're going to have to make your delivery experience easily understood within the app. Yep. And that's the opportunity I see for Walgreens. And so if Stephanie Cruz is listening, I hope she hears this. But last time I checked, which was, believe it or not, yesterday, it said, you order on your app and it says 5 to 10 business days from a centralized facility and 1 to 2 business days from my local store, and both are free, which I don't quite understand the difference there, because I'm always going to choose 1 to 2 then. But my question, though, is when can I actually expect the order? Mm-hmm. So this gets back to one of the fundamental principles of omnichannel retailing, which is the available to promise logic up front in the funnel. Because if you're ordering your prescriptions, like it's a Thursday, I'm ordering that. I don't know when that means I'm going to get it. Am I going to get it on Friday? Am I going to have to wait till Monday? Yeah. 5 to 10 days. You could put me 3 weeks out on that, potentially on where I am in my cycle. Or I could order on a Wednesday and not have it till 3 Mondays from now. Right. That's a problem. So net, I love the idea, but your conversion is going to go up on this idea of Walgreens if you can solve that issue, which I think is inherently what you're talking about, because then it extends into other operational dynamics too, as you look at your available promise for curbside pickup, like you said, and just the overall mobile app usage too. Well, and I think that it's, the Walgreens, to clarify, the Walgreens stores will still be able to fill those rush prescriptions. Right. Like if you do need something in the 1 to 2 days, you still can get that. I think where this is providing the benefit is for those ongoing scripts. Like, we look at these other companies like Express Scripts and the larger fulfillment center operators out there. Those timelines are much long, like those lead times are much longer. So I think if Walgreens is able to, like you said, if it's clear to the consumer what they're getting, this could make things much simpler for the customer and for the operations of a Walgreens store.
Yeah, and there's no reason over long run they need to be 5 to 10 days out on a prescription fill if they're using this either. That's the other point. And so,
that's why the centralized facilities are so important. Like, if you have micro fulfillment centers that are able to do these fulfillments within, 5 miles of my house now instead of 20 miles or 200 miles.
Yeah, if you place them in the right place, you got to at least be close enough to do 2 days and get the available promise in there. This is slam dunk to me, you know, and it takes the workload off your store level, as well. So, all right, let's keep going.
Headline number 5, Deliveroo has launched its first bricks and mortar store, and it has done so in partnership with Morrisons. According to Charge Retail, the new store called Deliveroo Hop, that's so cute.
So cute. It reminds me of like Peter Rabbit.
Yeah, like Easter.
Very English bunny.
Yeah, adorable. All right. Deliveroo Hop will allow customers to shop for groceries by ordering on digital kiosks via the Deliveroo app for in-store collection or delivery to local residents and offices. The store will offer over 1,700 grocery items from Morrisons ready-to-eat and its The Best ranges, with Deliveroo's site team picking and packing the orders. It should also be noted that according to research commissioned by Deliveroo, 24% of Londoners now use rapid grocery services once a week to get their groceries, and a further 40% of shoppers also reported buying groceries once every 2 to 3 days, bucking the age-old weekly shop trend. Chris...
Yes, Ann.
Shed a little light on this for us, if you would.
Yeah,
please.
I will. I'm still kind of like just thinking about the bliss of like reading Peter Rabbit, But anyway, I have a couple of thoughts on this, Ann. One, it sounds like a lot like what we were hoping GoPuff would do with its Geary Street store in San Francisco, but ended up doing nothing in any way, shape, or form like this. And by that I mean, i.e., the distribution center that also acts like a vending machine. I mean, it sounds exactly like that.
Yep.
But two, and more importantly, it calls to mind what Jeremy Narin, the founder of Grocery Key, once told us on I don't know if it was a podcast or a conversation I was having with him when he started his delivery business up in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And he told us that the only way he could even make the economics work, and even that, listening to him, was like still a hard feat, was that if he warehoused out of Woodman's and then made his deliveries in partnership with them.
Right.
Because they were storing his inventory for him. So I've never forgotten it when he said this, which is always why I've been kind of thinking or skeptical of 15-minute delivery from the economic side of it, because it's going to be tough to make it work.
Yep.
And so it tells me that there has to be innovation like this around the edges for that to happen.
Right.
Because as the statistics showed, the customer clearly wants it, and having done it with you in New York, I would say, yes, I want it too, or in Chicago when I was trying to get a COVID test rapidly, like it was exactly where I went because it was a great service, but yeah, for the economics to work, I think ideas like this are going to have to come to the fore.
Yeah, I agree. I love this. I want to go see this. I love this execution.
Oh, yeah, good call.
The challenge for me is, why are we still ordering from kiosks? I guess you have to have that for people that walk in, but like the whole kiosk part of it, it's like,
yeah, that's a good
this
point.
is not making my shopping trip faster.
Right.
Like
it's not. It's going to make it really slow.
I think you should just do away with the kiosks and only do app order ahead. Like, why do you need to be there? It's not like you're looking at the range of options in front of you and you're picking things. It's like, let's just order from my app ahead of time and I pick up in the store. Like, that's what we really need to do. But I think if you're doing that method of ordering here, I think I'm a huge fan of the execution, better availability of the customer, to be able to pick up things on their terms. The quality is likely better. You have access to Morrisons here, so you've got better produce, better options, I think, than what you would traditionally find in what what GoPuff was talking about from a convenience store assortment. And my favorite part of this, Deliveroo as part of this is also expanding its partnership with Too Good To Go for this new store.
Okay.
So, Chris, for they're giving customers the option to get 15 pounds worth of food for £5. And it's a surprise, but it's all fresh produce that's about to near its expiration date. Not just produce, but like meat, seafood, whatever. Yeah. Like, I would totally do that.
Totally. You just got to eat. You got to eat real quick. But yeah, no, I would
or
too.
Or freeze. Like, that's amazing.
Too,
but
right?
like $5, especially with inflation, like, I don't know. I just went to Costco yesterday and I was like, holy buckets.
Yeah, no
this
kidding.
is insane.
No kidding.
I just spent so much money on food. Like, I'll take this deal all day.
No kidding. I want to get back to your point about the kiosk, though, because while I agree with you in principle, I still think there's an opportunity to reimagine the interface of the in-store kiosk.
Yeah.
Which, if you come at it blank slate and say, okay, I'm here in this moment, and these are the types of things I want, what is the best way to facilitate that visually on that type of screen? I think it's still an untapped market for people, but no one ever has the guts to do it and try it because everyone is so programmed to think it should look like an e-commerce experience and we should type and click and all that kind of stuff. But I think there are a lot of creative companies that if you gave them that task of like reimagine how an e-commerce experience can work in a physical store on a screen, there is interesting things that we could find there. Just no one has had the guts to do it yet. I've never seen a screen take that approach to date, but I think it's there.
All right, Chris.
Yes.
Get to the lightning round.
Let's go to the lightning round.
All right, Chris. Cheetos has constructed a monument in Alberta, Canada, in honor of the dusty orange residue its corn puffs leave behind on snackers' fingers, which it has now dubbed Cheeto, like Dawn, apparently. Chris, I have to know, when you are eating your cheese products, are you a puff guy, a regular Cheeto guy, a ball guy? Like what suits you?
I'm a regular guy all the way.
Regular Cheeto?
Oh, yeah. And Mrs. Omnitalk is a puff poser. I'm going to call her out right now. And to this day, this is one of the biggest rifts in our marriage because I can't stand the puffs. I think they're disgusting.
Ooh.
The taste is so different.
Yeah, I agree. I'm full Cheeto all the way.
Full Cheeto?
Yeah, especially like when the really small ones that get like super crunchy.
Yeah.
I love those.
Plus, I feel like you get more stuff on your fingers with the true Cheeto, too.
I don't like the Cheeto. I'm not a fan of the Cheeto, but I do love a Cheeto every now and again.
What's a Cheeto?
Cheeto, that's the stuff that's what the
residue
is
residue's called.
Yeah, like Don Cheeto.
Oh, Don Cheeto.
Which it is
okay.
dubbed
I didn't
as
know that.
Cheeto.
I didn't realize that. Okay, I didn't
Chris
realize that's where they get in the
doesn't
name.
listen to the lightning round questions. He just
no. The picture of this is well. I'm thinking of my answer as you're talking, but like the picture of this is pretty amazing too. You got to look it up. All right, Jack in the Box put out the call for its first ever Gamer Jack, a full-time content creator position responsible for bolstering the quick service restaurant's Twitch presence. And if you were a Twitch megastar, fat chance that happening, what would be the game with which you would take on all comers?
How many applications do you think they're getting for you're just going to play video games
thousands.
And make videos for your lives?
Hundreds of thousands.
Oh my God, I would hate to be the HR team handling those.
Yeah.
Okay, if I was going to be a Twitch megastar, I would play the original Nintendo Paperboy game.
Ooh, Paperboy.
I loved
that was a great
loved
game.
that game. That was my favorite.
You're pretty good?
Yeah.
You could sling those papers?
Oh, yeah. I loved that game. I would play that game until like 2 a.m.
It was like the same level over and over
I
and
know.
over again.
That's why I liked it.
Right.
There was no challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, Liquid Death, the canned water company, is now worth an estimated $700 million. Chris, I imagine much of your purchasing has influenced this valuation. So I want to know what inspired you to purchase your first can of Liquid Death. Was it your desire to have your thirst murdered, or did you like that it was a 16-ounce beer can vessel?
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was a slave to the marketing on this one. It had to have been the packaging.
So with both, like you wanted your thirst murdered. That's like what they put on the can, or just the
just
can
the packaging.
size. And
Yeah, but which coincidentally is one of the biggest reasons I've stopped drinking it too. One of two reasons actually. One is I'd be on calls with clients or even doing podcasts with them, and I'd take a sip, and people would be like, "Are you drinking a beer?" And so I was like, all right, I don't want to answer that question every time. And somebody might not ask me that question, just might make that assumption too, which is not what I want.
Sure.
And the other reason, Ann, is which it made me that stuff makes me way too gassy, which was no good for you, my friend. Let me just tell you. So that is not going into my belly anymore. All right, the internet is currently roasting NFL quarterback Russell Wilson for his promotion of the Danger Witch sandwich, which begs the question: when did you last order and eat at Subway?
One, I don't know who Russell Wilson or the Danger Witch
You don't know
is.
who Russell Wilson is? Wow.
No, who is it?
He's married to, what's her name? I can't remember her name. But he's a quarterback for the Broncos. He used to play for the Seahawks.
Okay,
Yeah,
no
that's fine.
idea. Well, I found some gift cards when I was cleaning out a car that are at least 5 years old, and I took my kids there last summer. And I did have a bite of my kid's sandwich and immediately was like, and we are moving on.
Really?
I will be getting a salad.
So what was the last time you went there before that?
I can't remember.
I know, honestly, I haven't been there since like 2011.
Yeah,
it's been that long.
It's been a really long time. Maybe like post bar or something one night if that was the only option. But still, like, I don't know when that was. When am I out post bar? It's been a long time.
Yeah,
So.
where Subway's still open too. Yeah. All right, that wraps us up. Happy birthday today to Brett Gelman of Stranger Things, Bond girl Britt Eklund, and everyone's 7-year-old 1984 Karate Crush, Elizabeth Shue.
Or Adventures in Babysitting Crush.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we've had her on this before because I feel like you said that before too. Yeah, I love when that shows you how long we've been doing this, folks. When the birthdays
come back
re-anniversary themselves. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk. Our Fast 5 podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our twice-weekly newsletter tells you the top 5 things you need to know each day, and also features special content exclusive to us, and we make it all just for you. And we try really hard to make it fit within the preview pane of your inbox. You can sign up today at www.omnitalk.blog. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. And from all of us at OmniTalk Retail, as always, be careful out there.
The OmniTalk Fast 5 is a Microsoft-sponsored podcast. Microsoft Cloud for Retail connects your customers, your people, and your data across the shopper journey, delivering personalized experiences and operational excellence. And is also brought to you in association with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Takeoff. Takeoff is transforming grocery by empowering grocers to thrive online. The key is micro-fulfillment, small, robotic fulfillment centers that can be leveraged at a hyper-local scale. Takeoff also offers a robust software suite so grocers can seamlessly integrate the robotic solution into their existing businesses. To learn more, visit takeoff.com. And Sezzle. Sezzle is an innovative buy now, pay later solution that allows shoppers to split purchases into 4 interest-free payments over 6 weeks. To learn more, visit Sezzle.com. And finally, Silk. The Silk Cloud DB virtualization platform is a virtualization layer between your workloads and the cloud. Helps you scale your cloud without scaling your costs. Visit silk.us to learn more.